Hello, and welcome to Midnight Tales, a space where everyone can immerse themselves in peace and enchantment before drifting off to sleep. Tonight, we'll explore another captivating story that invites calm and lightness, helping you rest and recharge. But first, let's take a moment to gently prepare our bodies and minds for a soothing, restorative night's sleep. Make yourself comfortable, and with each slow inhale and long exhale, allow any cares from the day to slip away. It's not always easy to detach from the hustle and mental overload, especially before bed. However, remember this: the less we worry about how quickly we'll fall asleep, the easier it is for our minds to release any tension. Let the rhythm of your breathing carry away lingering worries, and let the story you're about to hear guide you into deep relaxation. Now, close your eyes and allow the magical atmosphere to softly envelop you. Enjoy the story, and may you find peaceful, restful sleep here on Midnight Tales. Imagine a woodland steeped in an emerald light, possessed of an uncommon enchantment. Venture deeper, and you might discover the singular beings who claim this haven as their own. Within this mystical forest, where vibrant green ferns unfurl beside clusters of violet asters amidst the lush undergrowth, legendary creatures dwell. Their sanctuary lies within a clandestine garden, nestled among aromatic blossoms and towering ancient trees. Concealing its entrance is a vast, living curtain of shimmering ivy. Here, emerald blades of grass ascend from the moss-laden earth, climbing ever higher until they weave themselves into a verdant ceiling, rendering the arched passage to the secret garden almost imperceptible, precisely as its inhabitants prefer. Yet, despite their meticulous seclusion, the occasional intrepid soul or curious explorer has slipped past the garden's threshold. Drawn by whispers of its existence, they have somehow circumvented the guardian stationed at the way in. Lyraxis, the sentinel of the secret garden, possesses the visage of a feline, the majestic wingspan of a peregrine, and the powerful frame and tail of a lioness. Her eyes, large and luminous, hold irises of molten gold, surrounding almond-shaped pupils, dark as a moonless night, while formidable teeth and claws serve as a deterrent to trespassers. This particular sentinel harbors no malice. She wouldn't disturb even a moth. Behind her serene countenance and compassionate gaze lies a latent power, the ability to weave spells that could erase a human's name from their own memory, should the need arise. Lyraxis stands as one of the earliest entries in the Forest Chronicle, the arboreal bestiary. This tome, bound in supple leather with gilded script adorning its cover, resides beneath a glass cloche upon a stone plinth within the rose arbor. It meticulously details the garden's diverse denizens, their arrivals, their unique talents, and their designated roles. Lyraxis's charge is the guardianship of the gate. Behind the verdant cascade of ivy, the arched entryway itself is entwined with delicate pink and white blooms resembling tiny hearts, fashioned from wrought iron twisted into elaborate arabesques. The gate is covered in intricate reliefs portraying a sylvan idyll. Rabbits, foxes, and deer cavorting among stylized vines and flowers. While on duty, Lyraxis often assumes her preferred posture, resting flat on her belly, forelegs extended gracefully, hind legs tucked neatly at her sides. When ennui descends, a frequent occurrence, she might meticulously groom a paw, indulge in a languid stretch, or drift into slumber, awaiting the gentle nudge of one of the garden's Nolkin. Now, the Nolkin of the secret garden, though diminutive in stature, led lives filled with significant undertakings. These diminutive horticulturists, identifiable by their weathered complexions, snowy beards, and pointed, conical caps, are the dedicated custodians of this hidden realm. They inhabit a cozy hamlet just beyond the gate, a place of oval flower beds and soaring conifers. Their homes are nestled within hollows at the base of these great trees, and their leisure hours are often spent knitting thick sweaters and socks from yarn they meticulously spin from bamboo fibers. The Nolkin labor diligently, ensuring the flourishing of their cherished garden. This responsibility includes overseeing certain mythical residents who feign industriousness while actually indulging in idleness. The Zephyrins, in particular, exhibit a marked proclivity for shirking their tasks. These sprite-like beings dwell in an adjacent meadow where larkspur blooms like scattered blue constellations. Though bearing a superficial resemblance to fairies, Zephyrins are distinguished by their pointed ears and four elongated, dragonfly-like wings. As the garden's official assessors, they flit above the meadow, clutching miniature clipboards. Their duty is to report to the Nolkin on the quality of the nectar savored by the secret garden's bees. Frequently, however, the Zephyrins disregard these obligations, opting instead to forage for plump blackberries, ripening in the thickets near the cherry trees. The cherry blossom field is a realm of ephemeral pink, where countless petals drift from mature trees, blanketing the forest floor in a soft, rosy carpet. This captivating expanse is the domain of Lumina. In her true aspect, this cunning entity resembles a fox with elegantly long legs, a sharp muzzle, and a coat of purest white that gleams in the sunlight. Yet, she often assumes other guises through shape-shifting. Occasionally, much to the annoyance of the actual Nolkin, she masquerades as one of them. Lumina ranks among the most ancient inhabitants of the forest. Her kind accrue bushy tails throughout their long lives, up to a maximum of 9. Currently, she possesses 7, each a distinct hue of the rainbow, a testament to her considerable age, a topic she politely avoids. Her very essence resides within a smooth, round gemstone that emits a gentle, warm, yellow radiance. This is her life source, her font of magic. It is hers alone, typically concealed within her most voluminous tail, and she guards it with utmost care. When transformed into other creatures, she wears it upon a white leather collar, adorned with tiny gold stars. A favored form is that of a panda, whose black and white fur complements the collar handsomely. In her natural vulpine state, she delights in passing the hours beneath the cherry blossoms, meticulously grooming herself as pink petals descend like silent snowflakes. Two centaurs also reside within the garden's bounds. They cherish strolls through the cherry blossom field during the early morning hours when a fine dew kisses most of the flora. These beings, half human and half equine, are siblings, yet strikingly dissimilar in appearance. Corvus, the brother, stands a commanding 7 feet tall, boasting the glossy mane of a black charger, sun-kissed olive skin, and thoughtful hazel eyes. Althea, his sister, slightly shorter at 6 feet, possesses a fair complexion with naturally rosy cheeks and eyes the color of aquamarine. Her mane is a cascade of platinum blonde, worn in a single thick braid that reaches her knees. Corvus and Althea fulfill a vital, albeit infrequent, duty. They are tasked with discreetly guiding unexpected visitors back towards the arched gate, where Lyraxis can then gently remove their memories of the secret garden. Afterward, they observe silently as the oblivious intruders depart through the swaying ivy curtain. Though visitors are rare, Corvus and Althea approach their responsibility with gravity, partly due to their strong friendship with the Nulkin. According to the Nulkin, interlopers, particularly humans, present a significant challenge. Humans, they lament, precipitate various minor disasters. They pluck the golden blooms without consideration for the gentle ogres who meticulously cultivate them. They carelessly tread upon beds of scarlet poppies and pink tulips, tended with great care by the garden's bloom warden. This imposing figure, a bull-headed man with powerful shoulders and a long brown tail, wields a silvered axe more often for pruning than for defense. He invests years in nurturing his floral charges and sighs with profound weariness when others trample his work. The Nulkin find it perplexing that some of their mythical companions are related, however distantly, to humans. Yet these creatures understand. They perceive that most humans are driven by curiosity rather than malice. Still, some Nulkin privately question whether the mild-mannered Lyraxis remains suitable for guarding the gate. Perhaps, they muse, the formidable bloom warden might prove a more effective deterrent. To deliberate on this matter, the Nulkin established a council of elders, which convenes periodically in a circular clearing amidst a field of daisies. On this day, the question of Lyraxis and her role is once again under discussion. One Nulkin elder, her pointed hat pulled so low it obscures her eyes, argues that Lyraxis is no longer fit for the position. Her attire, a white dress, yellow belt, and green hat, perfectly mirrors the colors of the surrounding daisy field, prompting speculation among her peers about the intentionality of her choice. This elder contends that humans have begun to discern the patterns of sentinels like Lyraxis. They understand the creature's inherent fondness for riddles and exploit it, striking bargains, passage granted in return for solving a puzzle. However, the presiding elder offers a contrasting view. Perhaps the solution lies not in replacing Lyraxis, but in arming her with more challenging conundrums, true enigmas that would baffle even the most astute human minds. Yet, when the elder in the white dress requests an example, the head Nolkin knits his brow, crafting rhymes intricate enough to stump clever humans and safeguard the garden proves beyond his immediate capacity. "Allow me," interjects a Nolkin, clad in a blue tunic and black hat, thoughtfully stroking his extensive beard. "I am black of eye, bright of hair," he recites. "My feet are planted firmly there. I love the sun upon my face and follow it from place to place. What am I?" The assembled Nolkin shake their heads collectively. "A sunflower," they chorus. "The riddle is far too simple." After careful reflection, the Nolkin concede that their knowledge is too deeply rooted in horticulture. Humans would inevitably decipher their riddles. "Best to leave Laraxis where she is, at the gate," concludes the head Nolkin. Ultimately, Laraxis possesses the most experience in handling the curious humans drawn into the depths of the enchanted wood. Furthermore, she alone holds the unique ability to cast the spell of forgetting, should circumstances demand it. With the matter settled, the Nolkin disperse, returning to their hollow log homes or their meticulously tended garden plots. When not reclining beneath the cherry blossoms, Lumina fulfills her duty as the garden's messenger, relaying the Nolkin's directives to other mythical inhabitants. Her first destination, the topiary garden, where a triform sculptor devotes his days to shaping dense, evergreen bushes into fantastic forms. The triform is, arguably, the most accomplished gardener of them all, a fact that might seem surprising given his composite nature. He possesses 3 distinct heads, one of a goat, one of a lion, and one of a serpent, each with its own perspective. Yet the one pursuit they unanimously enjoy is gardening. When it's time to exercise his considerable horticultural talents, his 3 minds operate in perfect concert. Indeed, with 3 heads contributing, he conjures magnificent creations, born from a wealth of shared imagination. He cultivates towering boxwoods in varying shades of green, expertly sculpting them into whimsical topiaries using an array of pruners, shears, and loppers resembling oversized scissors. His skill allows him to manifest nearly anything the mind can conceive. From solitary bushes, he carves contemplative gargoyles, hunched introspectively, fists propping up chins. From broad hedges, he shapes jovial trolls with exuberant, upright hair. His living sculptures often honor fellow residents of the secret garden. One such creation depicts the colossal serpent, Ethelworm. This ancient being's task is land cultivation for new plantings, accomplished by plowing vast tracts of soil with its formidable teeth. The triform sculpts his serpentine friend coiled into a perfect circle, mouth grasping its own tail. Adjacent stands a representation of Cinderwing, a majestic avian creature with plumage of scarlet and gold, and a flowing blue crest reminiscent of a bridal veil. The triform fashions the Cinderwing topiary from a honeysuckle bush, whose red blossoms resemble tiny firecrackers and whose small golden flowers evoke sleigh bells. This choice of fiery red and yellow blooms aptly reflects Cinderwing's renowned ability to immolate and resurrect. Positioning the Cinderwing sculpture beside Ethel Worm is equally deliberate, acknowledging the long-standing, albeit mostly amicable, rivalry between these two immortal beings. On the subject of immortality, Ethelworm maintains that the garden has room for only one creature, symbolizing the eternal cycle of rebirth, an endless loop of beginnings. Cinderwing concurs, having risen from its own ashes numerous times. However, Cinderwing refuses to yield the title of preeminent immortal to the serpent, asserting its own mythological seniority. The truth, however, is obscured by time. No one truly knows which creature came first. Their origin narratives have vanished. According to Cinderwing, crucial records were lost in a fire. It once possessed an ancient papyrus scroll that definitively established which creature held precedence in age. Papyrus, with its characteristic tea-stained appearance, is derived from the stalk of a reed thriving along the Nile's banks, and was historically used for writing material. Cinderwing claimed this scroll detailed the specifics, most importantly, the date of its own genesis. When the Council of Elder Nulkin convened to address the matter of the best immortal creature, they requested Cinderwing produce this document. Crestfallen, the bird confessed to the council that it had inadvertently incinerated the scroll long ago during a heated dispute with a Leonagle. The Leonagle, once a companion, had audaciously declared itself the greatest mythical bird of all time, exhausting the last vestiges of Cinderwing's patience. Unable to contain the fire welling within, it erupted in flames, accidentally consuming the precious scroll clutched in its talons. How, Cinderwing argued, could a Leonagle possibly consider itself superior to a phoenix? Leonagles, after all, are hybrids, part eagle, part lion, not purely avian, admittedly intelligent, a trait evident in their keen eagle features and undeniably strong, possessing a lion's powerful physique and sharp talons. But this does not constitute avian greatness, Cinderwing asserted. A phoenix achieves immortality. What could possibly surpass that? What of a serpent that also lives forever? Countered the head Nulkin during the council meeting, gesturing towards Ethelworm, which had been silently encircling the assembly. And so, with proof of its origins, lost to its own fiery nature, Cinderwing reluctantly agreed to share the title of premier immortal creature with the serpent, contingent upon the Nulkin Council formally acknowledging the mighty Cinderwing as a superior bird to the Leonagle. Agreed, declared the Council of Nulkin, and the matter was concluded. As twilight deepens, most creatures begin to unwind after their labors in the secret garden. The sun has now dipped below the tree line of the enchanted wood, yet for two inhabitants, the late shift is just commencing. Glacian Frostbeard, the frost giant, emerges from his shadowed cavern as the celestial expanse transitions to black, speckled with myriad stars. This colossal being's form is composed of deep blue ice, facetted like an expertly cut gem. He sports 2 horns of pale blue ice, eyes that glow with a cold light, and a beard woven from glittering white icicles. He carries a sledgehammer, wrought of gold and silver, often employed to clear land for new plantings. Frostbeard's cave lies at the garden's heart, within a modest mountain whose solitary peak barely crests the forest canopy. It provides the perfect vantage point for fulfilling his duties as senior irrigation specialist, a title he bears with considerable pride. Standing atop the mountain, the frost giant draws a deep breath. Upon exhaling, a cool, misty vapor drifts across the land. He disperses countless minute ice particles in every direction, lightly coating the topiary garden, the cherry blossom field, and flower beds bristling with lupines, resembling stalks of blue corn. Frostbeard's breath also blankets the intricate garden maze, constructed from winding hedges that the centaurs can navigate blindfolded, a favorite pastime of theirs. His icy exhalation supplements the morning dew, maintaining soil moisture overnight until the sun returns to warm the garden's plants, flowers, and trees. Occasionally, however, his breath proves excessively cold. When this occurs, numerous flower and vegetable beds face the peril of freezing solid. This is where the frost giant's steadfast quadrupedal companion intervenes. Ignis Hound of the Secret Garden is a cheerful, 3-headed, fire-breathing canine with gentle blue eyes, a short gray coat, and a spiky, draconic tail. In ages past, Ignis guarded the gates to the underworld. Now, he lives up to his designation as the garden's official warmer. Each night, he pads silently amongst the flora, sniffing out areas at risk of freezing. Upon locating such a spot, he lies down, curls into a comforting ball, and radiates such profound warmth that all vegetation within a considerable radius springs back to life, revived from its icy torpor. On nights when his warming services aren't required, Ignis pays a visit to Lyraxis at the garden gate, treading softly on all 4 paws to avoid disturbing the slumbering Nulkin. Ignis and Lyraxis forged a strong bond over their shared interest in guardianship. After all, the 3-headed hound possesses extensive security expertise, having protected the underworld's entrance for millennia. The 2 friends converse quietly beneath the arched gate. In the nocturnal hours, the crimson flowers adorning the archway appear muted gray under the moonlight. Lyraxis rests in her customary pose, forelegs outstretched, hind legs tucked. She voices a new riddle coalescing in her thoughts. "I sound like a place where roses and daisies might go to sleep," she murmurs. "It is not humans who count sheep here, but dandelions, daffodils, and mythical creatures like you and me. What am I?" A grin spreads across one of Ignis's muscles. "A flower bed," he replies. As the 2 companions talk late into the night, the secret garden beyond the gate rests peacefully beneath the star-strewn sky. Within it, contented little Nulkin are nestled in their beds, dreaming of white lilies, murmuring streams, and amiable mythical creatures, reposing under the gentle luminescence of a beautiful moon. Birdsong cascades from cherry and apple branches as Silas Varden, straw hat casting shadows on his weathered face, pushes open his door. He steps into the morning air, a hand drifting through the long silver of his beard, his gaze sweeping across the Claude Normand, his sprawling tapestry of a garden. Dew clings like tiny diamonds to the newly unfurled petals, a blush of pink, deep violet, stark white, passionate red. A slow curve lifts his lips, and the vista pleases him. He stoops, retrieving a worn leather satchel and a slender wooden easel. Down the gravel path he ambles, the stones crunching softly underfoot, pausing before a vibrant assembly of peonies. His eyes narrow, scrutinizing the densely packed architecture of the pink blossoms. Nearby, the low thrum of a honeybee weaves through the air, still cool but warming with each passing second. Yes, Silas affirms inwardly, this shall be the altar for today's worship of light. He unfolds the collapsible easel, its tripod legs finding steady purchase on the gray pathway. Bending again to the satchel, he unclasps it, revealing brushes with short, eager bristles, a wooden palette awaiting its chromatic symphony, and tubes of oil paint. Even now, 4 decades since their invention, Silas remains captivated by the sheer portability of paint in tubes. The convenience allows swift work outdoors, squeezing ribbons of pure hue directly onto canvas, or blending them into new subtleties upon his palette. To paint amidst the elements, the practice artists call en plein air, had been Silas's devotion since his youth. Hours the young artist had spent, transfixed by the shifting moods of the beaches and docks of Le Havre, his Normandy coastal home. He'd marked how the ocean's colors transmuted with the day's progression, with the caprice of weather. Picture the aquamarine or teal expanse under a high summer sun. Then the gunmetal gray heralding an imminent storm. Conjure the vast navy sheet at dusk, or the profound blackness of midnight sea. Silas studied these ephemeral shifts, striving to capture fleeting variations, transformations born of light and atmosphere, sometimes painting directly upon the sands. He chased impressions, even christening one seminal canvas. Impression Soleil Levant, back in 1872. Later, when a Parisian critic dismissively labeled Silas and his contemporaries impressionists, the name adhered. Though barbed in intent, Silas and his circle, luminaries like Auguste Renoir, Elena Morisot, and Leo Pissarro, embraced it. They rendered their perceptions, moment by fleeting moment, day by unfolding day. Today, Silas smiles, drawing a deep, centering breath, absorbing the chosen scene. His mind drifts back to his first encounter with this land, the terrain destined to become his sanctuary. In the early 1880s, Silas Varden had boarded a train that meandered westward from Paris, traversing golden wheat fields, furrowed by horse-drawn plows, past half-timbered houses crowned with thatch. Roughly 50 miles from the capital, his gaze caught the hamlet of Giverny, nestled where the Epte River surrendered to the Seine. Obsessed as he was with light, Silas watched sunbeams shatter across the river's ripples, glancing upwards to ignite a delicate luminescence on the leaves of a nearby apple tree. In that instant, recognition dawned. He was home. By 1883, Silas had moved his family to Giverny, renting a cottage in adjacent land, which he began, patiently, persistently, to sculpt into a botanical haven. The modest cottage he expanded into one long structure, affording space for family and studio, dressing it in colors that sang to the eye. Pastel pink for the facade, a vibrant green for shutters and window frames. Climbing roses were trained over a pergola spanning the house front, Virginia creeper encouraged across the pale walls. In summer's height, then as now, the house dissolves into its verdant surroundings. Pink and green greet the eye from every angle, while the house pulsed with family life. The garden surrounding it were the true source of the artist's joy, his profound peace. The land initially was utilitarian, a farmer's plot, sparse and unadorned. But Silas craved flowers, a riotous swirl of color and texture paintable year-round. He planted, accordingly, poppies, their papery red petals whispering in spring gusts, sunflowers craning yellow and black faces toward the summer zenith, black-eyed Susans clinging to autumn's final bright afternoons before Normandy succumbed to winter's chill. Often, as an artist would, Silas selected plants for visual impact, for color harmonies, prioritizing beauty above convention. By the early 1890s, sufficient prosperity allowed him to purchase the Giverny homestead outright. He then dedicated himself to realizing the botanical paradise shimmering in his mind's eye. Silas envisioned raised beds overflowing, embracing the wild heart of nature allowed its course, a stark departure from the rigid lines and calculated spacing of formal French gardens. His garden would flourish freely, an exuberant counterpoint of tones and textures. He would juxtapose humble blooms, like sweet white and yellow daisies, with exotic Japanese apricot trees. Green metal arches span the gravel walks, offering a scent to cherished roses. He could almost inhale their heady perfume on the air. This garden, the Clos Normand, became a potent magnet for the artist then, for visitors now. Silas would lose hours tending his beloved flora. When not tending, he was painting them. And now, this crisp spring morning, his plants stand vibrant and content, refreshed by a gentle overnight shower. No tending is needed. It is time to paint. Before the alchemy of color mixing begins on his wooden palette, Silas must prepare the canvas's ground, an even, smooth layer of light paint, typically lead white or palest gray, applied across the entire surface. Oil paint possesses inherent translucency. Colors laid over this luminous ground blaze brighter than on a dull, unprimed canvas. This radiance became an impressionist hallmark. Paintings that seem to emanate their own light. After applying the thin, white ground, Silas turns his focus again to the peonies, dissecting the curl of each leaf, the play of shadow within the bloom, the way a flower head turns towards the sun, the woody grain of the stem. His observation is relentless. Unless pausing to cleanse a brush, His eyes return to the flowers every few seconds. At last, ready, he dips his brush towards the palette. One might expect an artist of Silas's stature and experience to command a vast spectrum of pigments, yet his palette held a curated selection. With merely 9 proven colors, he could conjure any conceivable shade, a testament to his mastery. This profound grasp of chemistry, optics, and color theory imbued his paintings with their enduring power. This morning, his gaze rests again on the Clos Normand peonies. They stand regal in their pinkness, voluptuous, fragrant. A smile touches Silas's lips as he swirls his brush in madder red, his crimson of choice, before incorporating a touch of lead white. The colors bleed into each other. He glances up again at the living flower. A soft sigh. Not quite right. No matter. Another look confirms a subtle violet undertone in the real blooms. His eye travels the palette to a small pool of French ultramarine, a resonant blue. Swirl, 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 until the brush mirrors the floral complexity before him. Then the enchantment unfolds. Upon the primed white canvas, Silas draws the newly charged brush, its bristles whispering across the textured surface. Each stroke is concise, each gesture deliberate. Repetitive dabs coalesce, slowly resolving into something recognizable. A single petal within an abundant flower head. The process is unhurried, almost meditative. Silas becomes aware of his breath, synchronizing with the gentle rhythm of his hand. Dab, inhale, swipe, exhale. As moments unfurl, Silas varies the texture of his strokes, sometimes applying thicker impasto, sometimes thinning the paint. The surface becomes uneven, alive, compelling the viewer's eye to dance across it. Soon, little space will remain for optical rest. Every corner will radiate color. Brilliant chrome yellow where sunlight showers. Lush emerald green in the tendrils of climbing roses. A delectable fusion of vermilion, cobalt blue, and lead white to capture the large-petaled clematis. Small, strategically placed areas of contrast intensify the brilliance. A fleck of green beside a red rose. A purple shadow opposing a golden sunflower. The foundation of this painting will be laid this morning, here in the Clos Normand. Silas might refine it in his studio later, or perhaps declare it complete, one among legions, created with swift confidence throughout his mature years. In total, Silas Varden is thought to have produced over 2,000 paintings, drawings, and pastels, though the precise count remains elusive. He was known occasionally to destroy works he deemed flawed. Today's effort, however, feels successful. Silas pauses, smiling, dabbing his damp forehead with a cotton handkerchief. He reaches down, his fingers brushing the velvety softness of a peony petal before gently hoisting the satchel to his shoulder. For now, a respite is due, a leisurely stroll through his expansive domain. The wooden easel remains sentinel. Silas will revisit it this afternoon, seeking to capture these same pink peonies under the fading blush of dusk. Plucking one of Normandy's famed apples from his satchel, he saunters down a path bisecting the Clos Normand, perpendicular to a small lane. He takes a deep breath, quieting his pulse for a moment, then bites into the crisp red fruit. Tart sweet juice floods his mouth. A simple joy savored as his gaze travels across the lane to his next destination. The view transports him back years, to a time when he expanded his garden vision into something novel, grand, inspired. The Clos Normand, meticulously planned for continuous bloom and visual intrigue, had fueled his art for years. It was his great solace, his private treasure. Yet a yearning persisted for more inspiration, more flowers, perhaps even another garden. Across the road, perhaps, a marshy plot lay there, neglected save for wandering cattle seeking water. Once more, Silas's fertile imagination ignited. He pictured a floating garden upon the swampland, a pond brimming with aquatic life. This inspiration likely stemmed from his passion for Japanese culture, a fascination widespread in Western Europe during the late 19th century. He had encountered Asian water gardens depicted in the Japanese prints. He collected almost as avidly as he gathered plants for the Clos Normand. Within years, his collection swelled to over 200 woodblock prints. A water garden, the perfect synthesis of his loves, botany, culture, and eternally, art. By 1893, Silas had acquired the coveted parcel and embarked on the demanding transformation into a water garden. By 1895, it already bore resemblance to the celebrated sanctuary he approaches today. Crossing the lane, descending towards his Japanese water garden, he enters a realm where lush weeping willows trail their tendrils over a placid pond. Woody green bamboo stalks delineate the water's edge. Japanese maples, along with Asian varieties of peony and wisteria, inject bursts of color. Here, Silas masterfully wove together Asian aesthetics and Normandy's native grace. Most iconic were the two curved Japanese bridges he commissioned, arcing delicately over the water. Diverging from tradition's customary red, Silas painted his bridges a striking blue-green. The bridge itself would become a recurring motif in his paintings, its elegant curves rendered across seasons and atmospheric veils. The fiery hues of autumn foliage, the ethereal mists of a cool winter morning. Though the bridge was a marvel, another element of the water garden soon claimed precedence, not just in Silas's focus, but in his artistic legacy, the water lilies. Standing now at the water's margin, Silas gazes down at the pond's surface, at the countless green paths colonizing the water. 10, 20, 30. Enumeration is futile. Some host delicate purple lilies. Occasionally, a small green frog surveys its domain from a floating platform. These water lilies have become Silas's singular obsession. He tends them devotedly, aided by a full-time gardener. To friends, he often declared that his water garden, these very lilies, could transport him to pure ecstasy. They are a primary reason why now, and for the final 3 decades of his life, Silas rarely strayed from Giverny. He vastly preferred contemplating the water garden's shifting palette on a spring day, or analyzing the pond surface after a winter dusting of snow. He grew fascinated not only by the metamorphoses of light, but by how the slightest breeze sent ripples skittering across the pond, dissolving the reflections of lilies into shimmering blurs of color, indistinct forms pregnant with suggestion. Silas, his eyes ever receptive, now watches as a brisk wind transforms the pond's blue depths into a pool of pale gray. A fallen leaf momentarily obscures the view of the pond floor, casting fleeting black shadows beneath it. Every season, every day, every instant held the potential for new, artistic revelation, a fresh impression to be seized spontaneously. Small wonder, then, that he would ultimately create over 250 canvases dedicated solely to these water lilies from his aquatic paradise. These works, known collectively as the Nymphaeus, rank among the most revered of all Silas Varden's creations. Viewing his paintings today, one might overlook their sheer scale, their intrinsic power, their revolutionary significance, yet they irrevocably altered the art world. Impressionism nudged painting closer to abstraction than ever before. It redefined how light, color, tone, and texture could be rendered, forging new pathways for expressing emotion and sensation within the physical medium of paint. Silas's paintings are undeniably masterpieces, but his garden, too, can be considered a magnum opus. These cultivated landscapes were, and remain, living works of art that birthed artistic creations, continuing to inspire artists even now. Today, however, Silas's thoughts are far from legacy. He is immersed in the present moment, enveloped by the gardens he lovingly shaped and will continue to lovingly paint. Even after all these years, the beauty surrounding him can still steal his breath. As the day wanes, the sun dips behind the willows arching over the water garden. Silas leans against the sturdy trunk of a tree he nurtured from its infancy. He listens to the evening chorus, the cricket's insistent chirp, the frog's resonant croak. The moon, a pale disk ascending, will soon mute the garden's daytime riot of color into subtle permutations of blue, violet, and gray. Darkness approaches. He rises, retracing his steps across the Japanese bridge, up the lane towards the Clos Normand, seeking repose. Silas draws one final, deep breath, inhaling the nocturnal perfume of the flowers enveloping him. An owl calls softly nearby as he pads up the gravel path once more, entering his house, pulling the green door closed behind him. He murmurs good night to his beloved garden, his deepest wellspring of inspiration, secure in the knowledge that he will return with the morning light.